All right, let's now shift our attention to what is happening in the city of New York, where the Democrats have now chosen Zohran Mamdani as their mayoral candidate in Tuesday's elections, stunning his opponent, the former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo. Now, Cuomo conceded this nomination race to the 33-year-old who won 43% of the votes, with nearly 95% of the ballots having been counted. Now, Cuomo is a political veteran, and he was, of course, vying to make a comeback in the aftermath of the sexual harassment scandal that he'd been embroiled in. Now, the win clearly puts Zohran Mamdani on the path to possibly becoming New York's first Muslim and Indian origin mayor. The actual election is later in the month of November. What has happened now is of course, the nomination from the Democrat Party.
Tonight, we made history. In the words of Nelson Mandela, it always seems impossible until it is done. My friends, we have done it. I will be your Democratic nominee for the mayor of New York City.
All right, now Zohran Mamdani ran a very upbeat campaign that was built with youthful social media savvy and promises to improve the city's affordability. Now, Mamdani is in fact backed by the Democrat Socialists of America. His supporters include two of favorite Donald Trump's foils. That includes Senator Bernie Sanders and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who have both congratulated Mamdani. Now, born in Uganda, Mamdani migrated to the United States. As a child, he worked as a housing advocate and a rap music producer in the city of New York before entering into politics. He was first elected to the New York State Assembly in 2020. His father is Mahmood Mamdani, an Indian Ugandan of Gujarati descent, and his mother happens to be Meera Nair, an Indian-American filmmaker. Mamdani is currently a New York State Assemblyman representing the borough of Queens. The official confirmation of Mamdani's win could, of course, take days. The voters cast their ballots during a smothering heat wave. The contest is ranked choice. If no candidate wins 50% of the vote, then the election officials begin eliminating the lowest ranking candidates to decide the winner. All right, and our correspondent Susan Tehrani is joining us on this broadcast from New York. Susan, this of course is a historic moment. Tell us why this is so significant. Although this is where he's just a Democrat nominee, the actual mayoral election is to happen later this year.
Absolutely, it is. But the fact that Zohran Mamdani, a Democrat socialist, was what managed to really clinch onto this nomination despite the amount of money that someone like Andrew Cuomo and name recognition and face recognition that he had, although he was plagued by many scandals, is really an upset for those centrist or even left-leaning Democrats. Because if you talk about center, right, and left, Mamdani really is to the ultra-left of the Democratic Party. He's advocated for rent freezes, free public transit, free supermarkets in New York. He's also talked about a plan for affordable housing. What he did was very grassroots. He was successful in going into communities, not even traditional young communities, and talking to the people about their pain points, as opposed to branching out and bringing in big donors, for example, despite the fact that he comes from a very affluent family himself. So, while many are disappointed here in New York, he really appealed to the younger, more hopeful Democrat sector of New York, and we see that he really won by 7 to 8 points over Andrew Cuomo. And now, as you mentioned, this is just the primaries. The general elections are coming up. He's going to have to run against Eric Adams, who's running as an independent, Curtis Silva, who's a Democrat, and then who's a Republican. And then we have to see whether or not Andrew Cuomo is completely out, or does he want to run on an independent ticket now? Many are concerned about his policies when it comes to Israel and Palestine. He had a post on X saying globalized the intifada. That didn't sit well with many of the Jewish residents here in New York. So it's a very, very interesting development for New York. But his campaign, whether you agree with him or not, was one to really be studied, notably by the Democrats. You know, what he didn't do throughout the campaign, I know during his speech he did point to Donald Trump, he steered completely away from criticizing President Trump and just focused on the problems that New Yorkers are having. And of course, you know, during that speech, he did say that he was going to stand against quote-unquote fascist Trump, but we really didn't see that line that we see usually from politicians here in New York against Trump, which was very interesting.
Indeed. Thank you very much, Susan Tehrani, for joining us with all those updates there.